I've basically just got like kind of not generic stuff, but like obviously how you got into kickboxing and all that type of thing. Obviously the Andy Bailey fight. can't have you on without asking about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you'd have to be living under a rock not to have seen that knockout.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I fucking
remember
everywhere new.
It's mad because obviously before I came to the gym to like do the Cage Warriors stuff for Aidan, I'd heard a lot about you.
Yeah,
like from Aidan, from Kev, Doug Nevins. I actually spoke to Fraser Wilkinson, the boxer, as well.
Oh yeah,
and he was mentioning your older brother, because I think your older brother was like he played for Inverness for a while.
Yeah, he played for Califa,
like
so yeah, he got scouted quite young and he played for a few years, but then he ended up going to university instead.
Yeah. So has there always been like just like a history of like sport throughout your family and stuff like that?
Definitely. I think so. Yeah, because he got scouted quite young, and then I started kickboxing when I would have been 3. Yeah, when I started kickboxing.
3 years old.
Yeah, that's
Jesus, man.
Mental.
Because like that's like the first kind of point that I've got is like well, how you got into kickboxing, like, and I kind of wanted to like follow up with that of like fighting. Do you have like a memory of like kickboxing or fighting on like?
Well, the way I started actually, I spiral fractured my leg when I was 2.
Jesus.
So I was literally just running in the park and I slipped on like some wet grass on a pothole and I managed to spiral fracture my leg. And I remember my mum was in London, but the people looking after me, they came over and they looked down and were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I looked up and apparently I said, "My leg's broken." Like I knew instantly that my leg was broken. And then they took me to hospital because my leg was broken. And then the guy, they looked at it and then they were like, "Yeah, it was a spiral fracture." And then they were kind of like, "How did this happen from him just tripping in the park?" Because that's what used to happen to kids, like getting spun around in circles. And then started watching Power Rangers in hospital. Came to a hospital trying to be a Power Ranger, throwing flying kicks and that. And then mum thought I was going to get injured, and I actually broke both the bones in my right arm from falling down like 2 carpeted stairs, like just a couple months after.
Been through the wars.
Yeah, I literally. That was the only 2 I broke it in the whole time. And then the doctor said, "Well, I think there's a possibility he's got brittle bones, but if he starts kickboxing now, a few years down the line, there won't be any problems or anything." So yeah, it definitely paid off.
That's mad. So a doctor prescribed kickboxing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's mental.
So like that is literally just how you like. Is that
literally how I started.
Was it Kaizen you started out at?
Yeah, I started at Kaizen.
Yeah,
and then I was training there. But then in lockdown, like obviously there was a UFC and everything like that. I started playing UFC, started watching it, and I was like, fuck, fighting in UFC would be magic. I had the 4-ounce gloves, striking and those, the MMA, everything. It just sounded like a lot better rather than the kickboxing with the bigger gloves. And you're just standing as well. So started going to SBG at 14, started just training every day, just all the different disciplines. I was still at Kaizen doing the kickboxing Monday and Wednesday, but now I've stopped so I can focus a bit more jiu-jitsu, and I'll be competing jiu-jitsu as well this weekend so I can fight MMA next year as well.
Yeah, man. Like, can you remember like your first day walking into like a gym of any sorts, like with kickboxing or just any kind of martial art?
Yeah, I think so actually. Kickboxing, I remember walking in and we were doing rolls. It was actually, we were doing rolls and she was saying to draw the capital U with your nose, and like it just kind of stuck, like drawing that capital U with your nose and you're rolling under. And I remember I needed the toilet, but there was like loads of pads in the way of the toilet, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to go to the toilet, I'm just going to train instead. That was what kind of stuck, because I was like, I just didn't go to the toilet, I just like kept training, and I went after, because there was another one like off the mats, but I didn't want to have to leave the mats and then come back. Like I was just I was happy enough to just train.
That stuff must be like, that's muscle memory though, right? Like it sounds like little things, but like I'd imagine when you're fighting now, you're still doing a lot of that stuff that you learned day one, right? Like, is that
100%?
It's the small things, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
You probably go in thinking like it's going to be the wheel kicks, it's going to be like the flying knees, whatever it may be, but it's going to. We all good with the cameras? You're doing a me, are you?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Just to check we're actually recording.
Yeah,
3 minutes in.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'll press the record button. Tech guy Finn is in the studio today still, not just some random guy heard the podcast. But yeah, like those kind of things are like your bread and butter, aren't they? Like the small things like the slips and the rolls and all that type of stuff. Like, were you someone that was a confident person going in, or did you have to kind of grow into like? Were you good at kickboxing straight away?
Nah, not really to start, to be honest. I think I had to grow into it. like I had to get like the reps in, like, because they say it's like 10,000 times to master something, muscle memory. So I think that's where it plays a big part. Once you do it for like a long period of time, it sort of like sticks. Like if you've got a good jab and you drill 10,000 times a good jab, then it'll stick. But to start with, I wasn't really fit. Like I was pretty fat as a kid. Like I wasn't really in shape. But so I had to work for a lot more. But I knew that if I just put the work in and I just stuck at it, then I would get to the point that everyone else was at, and I would eventually get there. And then I just kept working, and then eventually I ended up losing the weight, and that helped as well. I had a bit of a belly, and it stopped me from competing at the weight that other people were competing. I had to fight a few ages up. So when I was like 12, sort of 11, I was fighting guys that were like 14, 15, 16, but then it was also good for more experience because I was ready for the challenge. But then a lot of the time I would go to competitions and it wouldn't be to medal, it would be just to get the experience, because I started competing when I was 8, so I was in 2015, but I was just going to get experience. I think my first one, actually, when I was in 2015, I was fighting at my weight and I got 3 golds, so that kind of like spurred me on to keep competing. Then the ones down in Glasgow and the bigger ones, was when I started getting matched with like bigger people, and it was more just to get the experience. But then once I got the experience, and then I started winning them after a while, started entering them at my weight, people my level and that as well, and then just started getting the golds. And then that last year, I don't think I lost any fights, so I just got all wins, and then the year before as well.
Do you remember like your first time losing a fight?
I think, I do actually. I remember because the guy had pink gloves on. And I looked at him and I was like, this guy's going to get smoked. He's got pink gloves on. And I was like, this will be light work. And then got into the fight, and he was a lot bigger than me as well. So I was like, I think I was like using the gloves to like give me a bit more motivation as well. And then he started like landing better strikes, and I couldn't really get past his punches. And then he started throwing like spinning kicks and that as well. And I just remembered I was on the floor, and I don't know how I was on the floor. I was looking up at him, and I think it was my mum looking at me, or my coach or something. And I remember the referee or something said, "Are you wanting to keep going?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to keep going. Obviously, I'm not going to stop." So I just kept going, and then I finished the fight. But I just remember it was a bit humiliating getting like spinning kicked and everything by someone that was wearing pink gloves. That was the one thing that kind of stuck.
That's mad that your mum was there for that. Like, how does she feel about you like fighting now? Because obviously, like the level that you fight at, there's no head guards, there's nothing like that. You know, you could potentially elbows, kicks, and all that.
Exactly.
Like you've done to opponents so far, right?
Definitely, yeah. Well, I think she knows my ability, and she knows that I'm confident in my ability, and she knows that I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna win the fight. But there's also that 50% chance. It's always 50-50 in a fight that they could land something good, or I could get injured, or I could get hurt. But she knows that like I know what I'm doing, and it's what I do for a living. So I think she enjoys watching it as well. She enjoyed watching the Goliath Fight Series one. She actually said she enjoyed it, and I was been watching some like Muay Thai, people like Sanchai, other fighters that are like quite fun to watch. And I think when she kind of gets into the knowledge of the actual sport, rather than just looking at it as like just fighting, then she like kind of enjoys it a bit more as well.
So like, because you fought in like quite a few different, not different sports, but like you're doing K1, you're doing kickboxing, Muay Thai, all those kind of different have a little bit of different rule sets. Is that difficult to like adjust to a lot? Because like for example, your last fight, there was like elbow pads or something. I take it that was to stop any kind of elbows being thrown or anything like that. Is that hard trying to like train elbows and then be like, oh wait, I can't use them for this fight?
I feel like once you're in the moment and like you know what you can do, you can tell your body to do it and it will do it. But that last fight, I could elbow. It was just because it was C-class Muay Thai, so you have to wear elbow pads. But then I remember my first Muay Thai fight, I didn't enter for Muay Thai. This was at the World Championships in 2022, and I just entered K1 above the waist kickboxing and low kick. But then this Welsh guy, he didn't have a fight for his Muay Thai. So I looked, and then I only had the Welsh guy and a French guy in my category. I was like, well, I thought I was going to get like 10 fights. I was wanting to get a lot more. So I asked if I could enter that one as well, because he didn't have a fight. So I entered that. And then what ended up happening, I beat him in the K1, and it was quite convincingly. Well, it was a decent fight, but one of the times he ended up going over the ropes. I think he injured his neck, and then he pulled out of the Muay Thai fight. So I ended up not having an opponent for the Muay Thai, but then I stepped in for him. And I had to go around and find a new opponent for the Muay Thai. So I ended up getting the French guy to step in. He stepped in eventually, but at first he said his calf was a bit sore, but then he stepped in. Him and his coach came round. I remember when we shook hands and then got it all sorted, but I didn't train the elbows at all for that fight. And then I remember my coach at the time, Stuart Lowe, he was like, pull his guard down and elbow over the top. So I pulled the guard down and I elbowed over the top, and then I got a second one in as well. And then when you actually look at the video, I land the elbow and then he like drops, and then you see me kind of smile and I land that second one. It's just such a satisfying feeling when you land the elbows. Like, your hands are good, your feet are good, but when you actually feel how solid the elbow is and the knees, like when you land one of those, it's a lot more detrimental, like, definitely.
When you're kind of coming up at those kind of levels, is it hard to like get fights? Are you literally having to like take fights really last minute to like just be able to compete and stuff like that?
Yeah, pretty much, literally. So actually, after I came back from the Worlds, I was quite heavy. I was probably about 80 kilos, 82 maybe, and I got offered a fight at 70 kilos, and then I was like, yeah, fucking right, I'll take it. I want the fight. I'm ready to go. And then I was like, but I'm 80 kilos, so I spoke to Aidan about cutting water, because I know that you can cut quite a big bit of water like in a short period of time. So he sent me the plans for the water cut, the stuff that his nutritionist gave him to do the water cuts and that. So I just stuck to that, and I managed to cut the 10 kilos in the week, and then got down to the fight, went down to the venue down in Perth. I got there, and the guy was like, I'm sorry, Ethan, I've got really bad news. And I was like, oh no, what's the bad news? I didn't really know what he was going to say. And then he was like, your opponent's pulled out.
Oh, he dandiced you.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Literally, I was like, why the fuck's he pulled out? And it was something stupid, like his old boy wasn't going to drive him down to the venue or something. And I was like, what the fuck? So I've now got a fight. And then I just had to get an expedition fight. So it was just like a wee move about in the ring with one of the other clubs that we were training with at the time. So it was just literally a bit more experience, but it was decent to get a bit of ring time, but nowhere near the same outcome of what I would have got if I actually got a fight.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Like, what's the judging like at these kind of competitions? Because like, I know in amateur boxing, it's very much the same as pro boxing, where there's questionable decisions sometimes, right? Where there's just constant split decisions, even if someone's won by a mile.
Yeah,
is it the same in kind of kickboxing, or is it better kind of officiated that way?
I think it's a bit better, like at the competitions and that as well. But then also, I think it depends where you are. Like when I was out in Thailand, like I got pretty robbed in a decision. Like that first fight I got, I literally pieced him up for all the rounds. It was just rounds 4 and 5. He out clinched me, but then I was still doing landing knees in the clinch. I could only land my right knee because I injured my left knee before the fight. But I was still out like landing stuff in the clinch, out striking him. But then he got a decision. So I think more like when it's in their homeland and like they've got the home referees and that as well, they're more likely to get the decision. But you just got to finish them. I think like when you're in situations like that, you've got to not give them the chance to get the decision, and then you win anyway. Yeah,
it's mad that like that. It's so obvious. Like you see it, like especially in boxing. Like boxing is the worst one for it. Like they don't even try and hide it.
It's wild. It's mental. Like
I was going to ask, when was the first time you sparred? Do you remember that?
I think I do actually. I remember. I don't know if it was my first time, but I remember getting like a private lesson with my coach Aidan Stephen at the time, who was coaching Kaizen kickboxing, and her son Callum. We were doing sparring, and she was saying like it was like a door, like so your distance is like a door, and like as soon as they get into that door, you just gotta hit them as soon as they get into that door. So it was like imagining that door, but then that always kind of stuck. And then I remember sparring continuous, because that was points fighting. But then when I started sparring continuous, there was someone, Bradley McNairn, that used to take kickboxing classes in that, continuous ones, and he let me come along, even though I was younger, he let me come along to the adults ones. So then I was able to spar in that with some of the adults and do the training. It was good. Like, it was definitely helped my experience.
Were you ever intimidated, like having to spar people that were like, 4 or 5 years older at the time?
Not really, to be honest. I remember sparring Dazzy Mitch at one point and just getting sweeped. Like I remember he just kept sweeping me, and then it was just fun though. Like I was always learning. Like I knew that however much bigger, however much older, or more experienced it would be, I would learn from it no matter the outcome. Like I was always going to learn something. You come across as someone that like embraces things. Like you're not like shy away from anything and stuff like that. Like exactly.
When I first came to SBG to do that whole kind of Cage Warriors Scotland video for Aidan, obviously he said the last time I'd spoke to him that you were like his main kind of stand-up partner at the time, so I knew you were going to be there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was interested because I'd heard a lot about you to like kind of see you training the flesh and stuff like that. And obviously, like, there's a lot of hype around you, right? And rightfully so for the success and the results and that. But sometimes that type of praise can be distracting, especially for someone so young, right?
Exactly.
But the thing that like I noticed about you straight away is you don't seem to believe your own hype whatsoever.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
when Aidan was doing the whole kind of talking stuff, you're away doing circuits, like
Yeah,
nothing stops. I think I even remember you like showing Aidan how to do a lat pull down at one point. Like,
he was doing it quite right. It was just like a lat pull down now. It's just overcomplicating a bit much. But
obviously, like the guys at SBG, even if you were to be a person that was to like, you know, as the Americans call it, drink your own Kool-Aid or whatever, like there's guys there that would obviously keep you on the ground, but you never come across as that type of person anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
It just gives me memories of Aidan talking and some of the stuff that didn't make the Cage Warriors video that was filmed that night. But
that was classic.
We'll move swiftly on from that. One thing I want to ask you about, and it's kind of to do with the Andy Bailey fight, and we will come to that a little bit later, because obviously like that is probably what you're most well known for at this point, obviously that head kick. But having watched the full fight multiple times, and I rewatched it last night,
nice.
is you head kicked him the round before. It was literally identical, and he's on ice skates then.
Literally, and
you go in to finish him, and the referee gives him a standing 8 count. Now, I wanted to kind of hear your thoughts on standing 8 counts just in combat sports, because I'm a total like casual fan. But the way I see it is if he lets that fight go, you finish him. Like that is the 100% what's about to happen there. And he doesn't take the damage that he takes where he gets flatlined, right? Which is obviously great for the highlight reel and that. But obviously from like his point of view, he's taking probably unnecessary damage.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see it at the highest of levels, like the Tyson Fury Usyk fight. Like Usyk's literally about to put him out. Ref, standing 8 count.
Yeah,
and then,
which way?
You know, you a fan of that? Would you prefer that the referee would let it go and let someone drop first before intervening?
I don't know. I feel like it's good because like that left hook, when he gave that standing 8 count and said stop, that leaping hook that I threw, that would have literally took his head off, and the fight would have been done in the second round, or it wouldn't have went on longer, or maybe we would have kept it going. But it was good. I was grateful because I needed more mat time. Like, and I didn't get that head kick as nice as I could have landed it. Like, I remember I landed it, and then I thought it was going to be finished, but then I didn't quite land it as clean. And then that's when the second one, I kind of look at him for a second. I wasn't sure if he was out or not, but I knew he was out when I seen him. But I landed it a lot cleaner. But then it was good because I wouldn't have landed it as clean in the third round if it had stopped in the second one. So I think that definitely, like, the refs need to control it a bit more, definitely, and give them standing 8 counts.
Because you see, like, sometimes in MMA, like, it's weird sometimes in MMA where they try and step in and it looks like they've done something and they leave it, and then like everyone's kind of like Herb Dean the other night with Alex Pereira, where he was kind of out of position, wasn't he? Like he let Yuri take 5 blows, probably more than what he should have. But it was kind of weird because the first fight between them was an early stoppage. Well, people thought it was an early stoppage, and this one everyone's going mad saying it was late. But so obviously we've talked about you representing Scotland at the World Kickboxing Championships. Like, are you fighting multiple times in one day at these types of things?
Yeah,
and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it just depends how many people's in your in your category. So in the category, it just ranges between like normally 3, 5, maybe 2. Like if there's 2 people, there's 3 of you. Semi-finals and then finals. Sometimes there's 5. There's been times where I fought like 9 times in a day at the WKCs. I think that was when I fought the most. But I didn't actually compete at the World Championships this year. It was in Glasgow. But I just thought it would have been a good experience, but I just didn't think I was going to gain as much from it as I would have from the SBG Manchester camp, because we were down in SBG Manchester learning jiu-jitsu and that, honing my jiu-jitsu skills a bit more so I can compete jiu-jitsu and then fight MMA as well next year. And
so you're going to compete. I did have that down there, because I guess like the question that I had to begin with was ambitions to turn pro. What kind of time do you think's the right time for that? Do you have a specific age, number of fights?
I want to be turning pro when I'm 19, 20 sort of age, the next 3 years sort of time, within the next 3 years, so I'm looking at. But just whenever, if it's longer, if it's shorter, just whenever. The time will come. I know once the time comes.
Is that a decision that's solely down to you, or is there going to be input from the likes of Martin, Kev? And
probably it'll probably be just once I'm ready, once I've got a big enough following or enough like a highlight reels after highlight reels, and then I get noticed. You'll just have to see really. If I get scouted for someone, I'll just have to see.
I think you're working your way on that highlight reel pretty quickly, to be fair. I think that'll sort itself out. But
I just need to get some more.
So yeah, you want to compete MMA eventually. How long do you think you're going to have to be involved in not, I guess, getting the jiu-jitsu to like the same type of level as your striking, because you could go into MMA right now and have a severe advantage over these guys in the striking, you know what I mean? But obviously, like, just kind of only been involved in grappling for 2 or 3 years at this point.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it would be good, but I think I need more experience in the grappling. Like, my wrestling's quite good. I just need more jiu-jitsu, like on the ground, submissions and stuff, escapes and that. But I feel like I could fight MMA now. It would just be better to fight it in the future where I've got a all-round game, which I know it's going to be strong all-round. If it's on the ground, I can beat them on the ground. I can beat them standing. I can take them down, beat them on the ground, get them back up, outstrike them. That's what I want. I want to be able to do both rather than just have really good striking of sort of white belt jiu-jitsu. I need to have blue belt jiu-jitsu or close to blue belt jiu-jitsu, by winning jiu-jitsu competitions and that as well, and then I'll know I'll be able to do whatever I can do in the standing and on the ground.
So, like, one of the questions I had was how you got involved in it, SBG. Was it just simply you just showing up to SBG? And
well, I was actually, my mate Brad was actually wanting to start MMA. We were fighting UFC all the time in lockdown, just fighting UFC, and we were watching UFC, constantly speaking about it. And we were like, fucking hell, we should just start just training. We need to just start as soon as we're out of lockdown. We need to just start training. We used to just spar in my room, just boxing sparring. We'd spar for like just rounds. We'd put the timer on, 10 rounds or something like that. We'd just spar with the tunes on, and then just literally just spar all the time or train. We'd do pads and that as well, but it was mainly sparring because we knew that was where we were getting the most from. And then we started SBG, and then we've just been training ever since. We're actually injured at the minute, but I've been there ever since.
Were you aware of like guys like Aidan and stuff like that? Like, maybe seen him like a fight or anything like that?
I think definitely that sort of brought me on to a bit more, because I remember I was looking at the gyms and I was thinking Focus or SBG, because I knew there was 2 gyms, and I was also at Kaizen at the time, so I was wanting to see what was going to work the best, because I knew I would need more jiu-jitsu and wrestling than my striking. And then the days it was actually I had to miss the jiu-jitsu the Monday and the Wednesday to be at kickboxing Monday, Wednesday for SBG, and then I was there with the striking and MMA. But I was like, that's all right, because I'm just going to be fighting striking the next couple of years. And I seen Aidan as well was in Cage Warriors, and I was like, well, if there's someone in Cage Warriors at SBG, it's going to be way better than what's at Focus. And then I learned that as well when I actually went in. It was like I seen the gym and I was like, this is fucking awesome, like, and then just stuck at it. Like,
it's mad what those guys have like been able to do. That, I mean, you hear it in like countless videos that have been done on them, and that like they're pretty much all self-taught. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that like Kev's on Polaris, Aidan's, you know, going to be fighting for the Cage Warriors bantamweight title sooner rather than later. These sorts of things from the area we're from, which is not well funded. It's not Glasgow. It's not a big industrial city, is it? It's just like more kind of towns and stuff like that. It's super impressive what they've done.
Definitely.
I think like the most impressive thing about that gym is just the atmosphere.
100%.
Because like I've actually had the chance to go to a few gyms just for the film and stuff and that. And there's some that are like, you can tell are very, very serious. Like, you know, like up at SBG, it's like, you know, film what you want and that. And then like other ones like, you cannot film sparring. Don't let me catch you filming sparring.
It's mental. It's wild.
It's cool that like, because there's people there for all sorts of different reasons, right? Like there's yourself, Aidan, Kev, that are obviously elite pro athletes that are wanting to chase titles and you know, pro careers and all these types of things. But there's also people that are just going there for maybe fitness or leisure kind of purposes. No one feels like apart, if you know what I mean. It's not like you know, guys that are training for a fight over here and guys that are you know. So
definitely.
It's awesome that like it really is like welcoming. You know what I mean?
It's like, class. Like, it's magic. Like, you always see the jits guys. Like, there's a lot of jits people that just do jiu-jitsu, MMA guys that just do MMA. Some people that just do both, but it's welcoming. Like, if you're coming in to do jiu-jitsu or just MMA or a bit of Muay Thai, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to put the work in, as long as you're putting the work in, like, and you're getting better. That's what all that matters, really. Yeah, you want to get better, and you're just constantly getting better.
And like the level of coaching that, like, you don't have to be an expert to see that coaching and be like, that's they know exactly what they're talking
we've got
about.
2 black belts, Aidan and Cage Warriors, Nico as well with the wrestling. We've got literally everything we need in Elgin. It's mental.
And you've got the likes of Ginge as well. On top
Ginge
of that
as well. Exactly.
So,
it's taking on Muay Thai and that as well. Yeah, definitely.
So I remember seeing Israel Adesanya say something about jiu-jitsu when he kind of first got into the UFC, and he said something along the lines of, I wasn't happy with feeling vulnerable. And what he meant by that was is he's obviously a great kickboxer and has loads of credentials that, but he didn't want to like not like he was looking to get into a street fight or anything, but be in an altercation and like some guy happened to have like wrestling and take him down. So that's why he chose to go to MMA. He said he wanted to be kind of well-rounded. I take it maybe like similar for you in terms of like wanting to learn another discipline.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like if someone, I think Joe Rogan said this in the past, like if you beat someone in basketball, they're not, it doesn't really matter. You could still say beat them in jiu-jitsu, or if you can beat them in jiu-jitsu, they're not going to go, I could beat you in basketball. If they said that, no one's gonna care. But if you beat someone in kickboxing, there's a possibility they could beat you in jiu-jitsu, and then it would be 50-50 jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. But if you can beat them in MMA, there's jiu-jitsu, there's the wrestling. If you could beat them in wrestling, you could beat them in jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, everything. There's no arguments there. And then you're just, you know yourself that you're a better man than them. And then that's what I think really puts the MMA, makes me want to fight MMA the most.
It's like, it's cool to see as well, because like everyone's getting so good at everything now. Because like the early days, it was like boxing versus judo and judo versus Muay Thai and like all these kind of different combinations. But everyone's just good at everything. All now, you know what I mean? Like
it's
becoming like the kind of complete sport, right? Because it's a very young sport, right? I think
it's still pretty
1993
young.
Was like the UFC. Obviously, like there's been jiu-jitsu and stuff like that around for longer times. But can you remember your first UFC fight that you watched? I take it because it was literally the only thing on during the lockdown.
Yeah, I don't know the first UFC fight. I remember when Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fought. Yeah. I remember like seeing the press conferences, and but I didn't know who either of them were. I had no idea. And like someone asked me, they were like, "Who do you want to win?" And I was like, I think Conor, because he looks more confident, but then Floyd just like kind of looks chill, and like he looks like he's got like he actually knows how to fight. And I was like, I had no idea really like who was gonna win. And I was like, well, I just want to see it and see who's gonna win. But I don't think I actually watched it. I just need to watch the press conferences and that, because I was pretty young. I wasn't really interested in watching fighting as much when I was younger, because like I felt like I always have to be like doing something physical, if you know what I mean. But like training's always been my passion. Like, and then when I started watching MMA, I was like, well, if I was to actually train and fight this, to enjoy this a lot more, I reckon once I get good at it, I feel a lot better.
It's mad what like the McGregor Mayweather thing started. That was the start of all this influencer boxing stuff. Like it's Conor McGregor's fault that all this has happened.
That's literally it. It's mental. Jake Paul and the KSI as well.
Man, like
mental. Like
the first time I ever watched fighting, I was like people were having like not me, I was like 7 years old, but like parents and that were having a party, and people had the boxing on, and it was Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson. It was one of like Mike Tyson's like last ever kind of fights when he was in his prime.
Exactly.
So to see him potentially fighting Jake Paul really makes me upset.
No,
please don't let that happen.
Like, definitely.
So, like, have you enjoyed learning a new discipline? Has it been challenging? And
I feel like I think it's more fun because it's more challenging. Like everyone's a lot better than me at jiu-jitsu, especially like the blue belts, the brown belts, black belts. Like Martin and Kev are a lot better, so it's so competitive. Like it's just like a lot more fun. Like 'cause I've got to work a lot harder for it. I feel like I've got to find new ways to do things because I don't know as much as they do. Like it's a lot more fun, I think, because it's more competitive. Whereas the striking, it's still obviously fun. I love it. Like no matter what, I'm always gonna like feel good. It's always gonna be the same. But it gets to a point where like it's good, but then it's just the same. It's like it's Muay Thai and it's Muay Thai, and then it could be MMA and Muay Thai. So I think combining them both would be the best thing, especially with the smaller gloves. I like striking with smaller gloves. You can find the holes a lot better, and you're a lot faster as well. So I think MMA is definitely my favourite one.
I think like it's underestimated how much the gloves play a part, right?
Yeah, definitely.
In boxing, like when it's 8 and 10 ounces that they use there, like the size of the glove can actually help like defend punches and stuff like that. Like you were mentioning with the holes that having the smaller gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any difference to like training for obviously like there's difference in training jiu-jitsu and training Muay Thai and things like that, but is there a difference in how like you train for those different disciplines? Like are you doing different kind of weight routines depending on what you're doing in different days and that,
I think probably part like, so if someone with jiu-jitsu, I think you'd have to do more like a strength, all-round strength routine, and not as much cardio and a lot more technique and like watching stuff. But for me, I've got to, like I do on the Monday and Tuesday, it's max intensity, so it's for strength. But then on my Thursday and Friday, it's for speed, so then I'm getting my strength and then the speed as well, and I'm getting the endurance, so the classes and the running and the bag work. So I've got to do it's a bit more rounded with like a bit of everything, rather than, I think for jiu-jitsu you'd have to focus more on like being strong, being good in different positions, certain positions, and the technique. Whereas in MMA, I think you've got to be good, like at the striking, be fit, be strong, be fast. You've got to have a bit of everything, I think.
And especially like they obviously need cardio anyway, just to make the weight right. They've got to run the water off and all these types of things. Speaking of MMA, I'd be remiss not to ask about your teammate Styles 1992, Mr. Backflip, Aidan Stephen. A couple of weeks from now, I'm going to try and get this up next week, so it'll be a week when people are seeing this. Aidan's got probably the biggest tournament of his fighting career thus far. Chance to win 50,000. It was funny when we were in the gym and he said 20. Like, we should have just kept it. Cage Warriors put with the final straight away. It's like, we will have to give you half. I take it you're going to be in his corner again.
Yeah, I'll be down corner in that.
You've been in the corner for obviously Cage Warriors Scotland, and I know the Dan Dice fight didn't happen, but you're
I was down for that as well.
You, Leon Mitchell, and Kieran.
It was Kieran for the Cage Warriors Scotland. For the next one, it's going to be me, Leon, and then Martin in the corner as well. Awesome.
So like the Dan Dice one, obviously everyone knows what happened. Aidan's had that happen to him so many times.
It's shocking. Like,
that was the worst one though, because it was literally like
it was on
5-6 hours away from when they were meant to fight. What was that like? I take it he was obviously pretty devastated when he got that news. He'd obviously just had a daughter. He was obviously wanting to put on a big performance. The plan was at the time to call out Reese, who he thought he was going to beat Gittins. Obviously didn't work out like that, but and just for the fact that he had to spend probably 3-4 days away from his newborn baby as well, which was obviously you were mentioning before we actually kind of started recording that Ian Dean kind of knocked at the door at like 10 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he knocked and I thought it was housekeeping or something like that. And I looked and it was Ian Dean and I was like, oh fuck, that's no good, that's no good. Like, and then he came in, gave the news. It was just heartbreaking to see, because you know how much he's put into the camp. He's took weeks off work, used his time off work. He's just had the kid as well. He's down. His came to fight, made the weight like a professional, showed that he's made the weight, and then the other guys, he's not done his rehydration right, and like it's costed him the fight and costed him a whole fight camp, and then the time going down as well. So yeah, it was just shit to see. Like, but at least the second time it didn't happen. The Cage Warriors Scotland, it was good to see him actually get good performance.
Was he nervous that week at Cage Warriors Scotland? Not for the fight, but just, I hope this doesn't happen again, because obviously it's happened so many times to him with like, I think Eddie Walls, he had COVID one time, which fair enough, like you can't help that. Emra Somez pulled out him on like 3 days. Obviously Camilleri did something very similar at the weigh-ins minute, so he's obviously he's been used to like this happening to him, but obviously the tournament that he's going to be in, very serious competition, but you've got to give Aidan the experience factor here, right? A lot of the guys, obviously he's fighting in the semi-final against Alexander Loof, who obviously is known for that absolute like war with Luke Riley, which is his only Cage Warriors fight, which I found interesting.
Exactly.
Fighting him in the semi-final. The other semi-final is Wesley Maya and I think it's Shirzad. I could be butchering that name, but he trains with Khabib. Obviously, they've got the reserve fight as well in case one of the fighters can't continue on, between the former bantamweight champion Marginoli and the other Italian. I found that interesting as well. Like when they were doing like the promo videos, the Italians were like the ones that were like having like the big kind of like the 50 G's is already mine, and they get the reserve fight.
It's like sort of funny. Like,
but what do you think Aidan's chances are in this tournament? Obviously, I would say he's probably got the best grappling in there. I would say he's got the most experience, because all the other guys are like 6-1, 5-1. Aidan's obviously 10-4. Marginoli's probably the only other guy that you could put up there with relatively similar experience to Aidan.
Definitely. I think that 50 G's is Aidan's. I think it's there for him to take it. Like, definitely. I don't see, like, Loof's got good striking, but Aidan's striking's also good. He's got good boxing, good kicks. I could see him having him on the feet. in and out. Luke might land some nice stuff, but I think that Aidan will have him on the volume, and then the takedowns as well. Once he gets him down, I don't think Luke will have anything for him, and then he'll grind him out, and then just only 2 rounds, wins those 2 rounds, get onto the finals, and then it'll be a war for the finals, and then take home at 50 Gs.
Because obviously the semi-final, the rules are a tad bit different. You're not allowed to use elbows and stuff like that. Is understandably just to keep guys as fresh as possible to be able to fight twice in one night. Who do you think will be waiting for him in the final? Because this is a rematch, isn't it? Wesley's obviously beaten. I'm not going to attempt the name again. The guy that trains with Khabib has beaten him before. They're obviously both kind of similar in records and that, from what I was seeing as well.
I think it would probably be maybe Shahzad, because they're running it back, and he knows how Wesley fights as well, and he's been beaten by him. So Wesley, if he's won, I would assume it's him at his best, and they both would have been at their best. But then Shahzad can always come back stronger and then learn from the loss and then come back and beat him. So I think it could possibly be Shahzad, but either or.
It doesn't matter.
Fight either or,
But I think you're right. I don't think anyone else. No, forget the money aside. I don't think anyone else wants this as bad as Aidan.
Just
even the belt, right? Like obviously the money's going to be a great help, right? That could give Aidan the opportunity to do a camp full time for the Gittins fight,
for the title, definitely.
And like that is massive for him. And don't get me wrong, all these guys are working hard, but I would very much doubt that they're working a full time job on top of what they're. You know what I mean? So I think there's no one else that deserves this opportunity and prize than Aidan. And he looks ready. Like I was up at the gym a couple of weeks ago, doing some filming for him, which obviously wins that title.
I think
shot.
the 50 Gs aside, he wins it anyway. It's there to get the performances and get himself out there.
He's wanted these big fights for ages, right? Like
definitely.
Like he's fought such high level competition in Cage Warriors constantly, like
exactly.
Paul Hughes, Steve Amable,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like Chris Edwards, obviously the Kimura, and
exactly.
But once he wins this prize fighter tournament, should, and I believe he will, get the title shot. He's obviously had his eyes on Gittins for a little while, even before Gittins was the champion. He said that he wanted to fight him. Thoughts on that matchup? I think it's just an incredible fight, to be fair. Definitely. Like Gittins, like Aidan said it himself in that clip I put up on Instagram a couple of months ago. War after war after war after war, and Aidan himself is a guy that grinds people down. And is there for the full 3-5 rounds, whatever it is.
Exactly.
I just think that's going to be an ultimate kind of showcase of MMA and skill and will and all that type of thing as well. So you train with Aidan on a daily basis. What's that like? I imagine there's a lot of banter. I imagine there's
it's class, like it's magic. You're always in for a good workout. Definitely. Like I know whenever I look around and I'm getting partnered with Aidan, I'm gonna be getting a good work in, like definitely. Especially when it's wrestling, because his wrestling so high level and his jiu-jitsu. I know that I'm just gonna learn a lot. Especially being partnered with him rather than a beginner. Like a beginner's good. Like you can teach them a lot as well. Especially if they're just coming into the gym, it's good to show them the ropes and that. But then, especially when you're preparing for fights and stuff like that, and then for Aidan as well, preparing for a fight, you need to give him that sort of look. So looks that he'll be seeing in the fights and that, and in the cage. So yeah, it's definitely good. It's good crack as well. It's a good fight.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite Aidan story?
Oh.
Could just be from like...
It's probably that banana box one, you know.
Oh my God.
Banana box.
Oh, dear.
That's probably got to be it.
I couldn't believe that when I heard it the first time. Like when he got sacked and everything. It's just a stupid childish thing, isn't it? Like there was no like ill will behind it. I guess.
I think it's just funny because it's just something like I think that what you would do in that situation. It'd be funny as well, but. It's just fucking funny.
I mean, that's like the main thing about him. He is unapologetically himself, isn't he? Like,
exactly.
For better or worse, sometimes he's got him in trouble a couple of times, but like he's one of the most awesome people that you meet as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's incredibly funny and stuff. He's also like a really generous person.
Definitely.
You can see that when he's coaching people at the gym or giving people pointers and stuff like that. So, when he was fighting Scutoli. I remember we were just talking about this before we started recording. I'd been out at the gym that night for the Cage Warriors stuff and that, and you were discussing how the fight was going to go.
Yeah, aye.
And I couldn't help but overhear where he was like, I'm going to come out and kick his lead leg and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so that kind of got me excited. I'm like, I'm getting to like hear insider information of this. So when Cage Warriors Scotland was on the TV, I was messaging my friend Lee, and I was chatting all this shit, like saying like, wait until you see who's going to ruin this lead leg and everything. And then like within like 30 seconds, he's taking him down and he absolutely dominates him on the ground for the
exactly.
And I was like, what happened to the game plan? I was like, do these guys think I'm a double agent or something? Like, they don't trust me, man. But it turned out he obviously, we thought he broke his foot at the time, but obviously they just bruised or something like that.
Yeah, just a bad check. Like when you take a bad check, like and you come back on it, it's quite sore. Like and you can't put weight on it, and you can't strike the same, especially if you're moving about and you've got that stuck in the back of your head. But yeah, it could have been broken, or maybe a joint or something broken. But I don't think his foot was fully broken because he was back into training pretty soon after. We had a week off and then was back in. Like
it was mad that it wasn't just in this fight either, but obviously Scatoli was like hooking the glove like constantly.
Yeah, okay, it was
and he was
wild,
like kind of, he wasn't headbutting Aidan, but he was like doing enough to like make it uncomfortable so that he couldn't lock a choke in or that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was funny that he put Rich Mitchell blast, like saying that, do you have money on him? He was like, I'm watching him, Aidan, fight.
It's class. It was funny, so quick.
But like everyone on that card that was not from Scotland did that.
Like,
I watch the UFC now and again, and you maybe hear it once, like in like a prelim fight. Every fight of that card, the away fighter was warned about because it gives you like an advantage for stopping people's kind of hand movement and all that type of stuff, doesn't it? But you mentioned leg kicks there. Obviously, they're a big part of your game. They've become quite a big talking point in combat sports over the last 4 or 5 years.
100%.
They're such a useful weapon, but it is kind of almost Russian roulette sometimes because, like you say, if someone checks it well, it hurts the person that knows it way more than the person taking it.
Definitely.
So, like, what do you think about? Do you think it's like the most important striking weapon in today's game, or?
I would say, I think so, definitely. Cause, like, I always start my fight with a hard leg kick. I remember when I fought that Goliath Fight Series fight, because it was my first fight without shin guards. Aidan said, first thing, you go into the middle, hit him with the hardest leg kick as you can, and you'll know how the rest of the fight's going to be. And I remember when I felt that connection, and I felt with a bare shin as well, I knew exactly where I was going to need to land, and then I just kept landing there. And then the guy actually started trying to catch it and that. And then when he started trying to catch it, that's obviously when I took it up high. But I feel like not only just that, like it gives you the openings, but stops them from moving. If you're cutting them off with the leg kicks, they can't circle around to the right because you're cutting them off with the leg kick. And then if you're opening them up with that inside leg kick, you can be opening them up for strikes for that right hand. And I just think, especially with the calf kicks as well, you can shut off that blood to the foot, get them doing the chicken dance that you see on the UFC and that. Like, I think that's definitely a massive part.
It's like in that fight, which is obviously the Andy Bailey fight, which we'll come to now. It literally takes 2 kicks and his leg is red. Like, it looks, it looks disgusting, to be fair. If anyone's listening to this that hasn't seen the fight, I'll link. It's on YouTube. You can type Ethan's name on YouTube. It's the first thing that comes up, or I'll link it down in the description or whatever. Highly recommend watching it.
It's a good watch. Like.
Definitely not for the faint-hearted though.
If you're wanting to see a bit of violence, definitely.
For sure. Okay, so we've got to talk about it. The head kick. Obviously, that clip just went everywhere of you doing that. Like, you flatlined him. Like, there was no kind of TKO about that or anything. When you did that, obviously you're walking around and you're celebrating and that, and you're kind of a bit stoic and all this. Was there a part of you deep inside that was like, fuck me, I just did that?
I did kind of think that a little bit. Like, it was more when, like, I was wanting to see if he was fully out. So then I look at him for a second, and like that's when the ref pushed me out of the way. And then I was like, I probably shouldn't have been looking at him because like I knew he was kind of out. But like after hitting that one the second round, I was like, I'll watch him come back. And then it was when I kind of circled around and I looked at him, and I was thinking like, watch him. I was kind of planning for what I was going to do next, and then I was thinking, watch him come back. And then I looked, and I was like, nah, there's no way he's coming back. When I seen the medics and that in his legs, and then I was like, hope he's not actually hurt or just like detrimental damage or anything. And then it was more for his fans and that, for his fans watching. Like I was like, okay, because I could see his fans behind him, and I was like, it'd be a bit shit coming to watch like your fighter, and then he's just been finished. But I hope him all the best, and I hope it's a speedy recovery. But I mean, it's part of the game. It was either me or him. Yeah, exactly.
So was that Grangemouth again? That fight
no, that one was Dunfermline.
Dunfermline
for the guy.
So
series.
I take it when you're competing, you're at least having to travel for 5 hours, like most people up here have to, right? And
definitely.
Can that be taxing? Because obviously, like, there's the journey before then actually having to compete. Is that?
I don't think it's really taxing. I think it's quite good as well, because the place we live in the Highlands. Like when you're going past the hills and that, it's always good for the views. Especially if it's not raining, it's a nice day. It's good. Like, but then also you've got 4 hours to yourself or with your coaches. You can speak about the fighting, you can speak about anything, or you can just put the headphones in. You can just sort of get yourself into that mind state and get yourself relaxed, visualising the fight. And I think it's always good to get yourself into the right place, because when you get there and you've had like 4 hours or however long you're driving, and you're going over it, meditating in your head, like getting the repetitions in, and then you get there and you feel good, like you're ready to go. Like, I think it's good. But then also you travel like 4 hours to fight, like sometimes 2 minutes 50. I remember when I fight, it was literally 2 minute 50. So then, like, it's worth every minute of it, but then you do sacrifice a lot of time for what you're getting back. But definitely, I'd say there's bonuses and negatives to it, definitely.
Are you encouraged to do like I know, well, I'm speaking to Kev recently about this, but him and Aidan both work with a guy called David Neathy that is like a mental performance coach, and he's obviously worked with like Israel and all that as well, and he's quite big on having like an alter ego, there's Aidan Stephen, and then there's the Phenomenal, there's Kev McAloon, and then there's the King of the North. Is it kind of similar for you? Do you feel like you kind of have to enter a mindset before entering a fight, or does that not really come into your thinking?
Yeah, kind of. I just think I'm invincible, really. Yeah, I just kind of have to, like, there's a thing I'll say in my head, like, too fast, too clean, too slick, too powerful, too fast, too slick, too clean, too powerful, and I'll just reinstate that constantly in my head, and then it'll just stick. And then, like, once I've said that, like, or I've stuck it in my head and it's stuck, it becomes like, well, it's already there already. And then if I'm thinking, I'm reinstating things in my mind, and then just think there's nothing that person in front of me is going to do to stop me. I know that for a fact, and then it comes out in the fight as well.
sure does, mate.
Definitely.
Before I get onto Thomas Kurczewski, again,
I think you got it the first time. Okay. Kurczewski,
one of them, something along those lines.
Kurczewski, that's the one.
Obviously, that was your most recent fight in May. And this is just a thing that I've got. It's a common theme throughout your fights. I don't think there's a fight of yours I've watched where the commentary team haven't said at the start he's not going to be able to keep this pace up. And then the whole fight is just you doing that.
Yeah, literally.
You can just, like, your pace is relentless. Like, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you can tell a lot of the guys you're fighting are just not ready for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, fair play to this guy, because he, like, the damage he took, and he was still trying. Was
big respect.
Commendable. Do you know what I mean?
Like, the rounds out.
You know, at the end he kind of tried to fight your ego a little bit with the whole. Come on, dude.
I didn't even notice that until I watched it back. I was like, no way, he's done that.
But like, I think it's again straight on the leg kicks, like a minute and a half
definitely.
in, and like your elbow pad kept coming undone.
Yeah,
so
it kept slipping. Yeah,
so
to get it taped.
For context, there's like 90 seconds into this fight, which you know, it can be a long period of time, especially during intense exercise. But when the ref stopped you and he's fixing that and that, like, we're not even halfway through the first round.
Yeah, exactly.
His hands are on his head, like he's just
been
hit by a train.
Like,
do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, what have I gotten myself into?
I can literally see it on him.
Like, again, fair play, because he just wasn't going to go out there, was he? But because. Am I right in thinking that was a last minute change? Did you?
Yeah, because I was maybe fighting for the super middleweight K1 title, Scottish title, and then the guy pulled out short notice, 2 weeks out, and then I got a new opponent happily. I was chuffed to that, because I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't get a fight, because I hadn't fought since Thailand, because that was my first fight show, and I was needing to just get back in the ring, and then I got a new opponent. I was like, it's ideal. With a C-class Muay Thai, but I was just happy it was Muay Thai, because then I could throw elbows, and now get a bit more clinching than that. I can throw the elbows in the clinch, so I can catch, and then sweep. But it was good. It was just a bit annoying with the elbow pads and that. They kept coming undone. I felt like it would kind of stop my momentum. Like I would build momentum and then it would stop. And then it was only 1 minute 30 rounds as well. So I couldn't really, because I was training for threes. I thought it was going to be threes and then it was half the time. But then also I was able to just literally put it on him for the whole time. And then we'd just go to the next round and then 5 rounds as well. So it was good ring time as well. I wasn't really bothered I didn't get the finish. But those wheel kicks that I landed, I thought that one of them was maybe going to finish him. But
one of them nearly takes the ref out.
Literally, goes right past him. But I think is I didn't even train those like lead up to the fight. I just seen it and then I was like, yeah, fuck it, throw a wheel kick.
Yeah, why not?
It was one of my mates that shouted at wheel kick and I was like, yeah, fucking right, I'll go for it, and I just threw it.
So you mentioned Thailand there. Obviously, it was over Christmas time, wasn't it? You went there. There was a fundraiser. I think everyone had put in like a bunch of kind of refreshments. And there was like a raffle for that, and that obviously helped pay go over there and stuff. So how long were you there for? A couple of weeks, was it?
3 weeks and 4 days, so just under a month. I was there. Aidan fought, I think it was the 20... It
was late November, was it?
Yeah, it was late November.
Well, that was the Dan Dice one, wasn't it?
It was, It was the one before Dan Dice. Was it? Yeah, it would have been Dan Dice, yeah. And then I flew out just straight after that, because we were in Newcastle anyway, so I was like, well, I'll go from Newcastle, Heathrow, and then I flew from Heathrow, and then I came back for Christmas, because then I was home on Christmas Eve, because I wanted to see the mum and that. I didn't want to leave my mum by herself for Christmas, so I came back. And then, I was home for Christmas Eve, and then Christmas as well. So it was good to go back.
I'd been following you on Instagram for a couple of weeks leading up to that. Obviously, seeing on your story, you had a couple fights over there. The one that I seen is where you absolutely dome a guy with an elbow.
Right elbow.
So how often were you fighting over there? Was it just every couple of days, or?
I only managed to get 2 fights out there, unfortunately, because I got a knee injury literally the week before my first fight. I remember I had a pad session in my pad holder, and a guy was like, "You want to fight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I came here to fight." And he was like, "Okay, you'll fight Friday." And I was like, "Oh, ideal, I fight Friday." And then I was training, doing sparring, and then it was a weird sort of kick, like it was meant to go low and it came up, but the way it came up, it like landed underneath my knee and it just like buckled my knee, but my knee was already like injured off like before this. It was when I competed on the 18th of September. I'd fought like it was 3 or 4 fights in the same day, but then on the third one, it was the one before my last one, I checked the kick and it was like on my knee. I'd done this Goliath Fight Series one partly, but it healed up, and then I kind of did it again in that one, and like you see me in the photo when I'm holding the golds up, my left knee's just like blowing up. But then I did it again when I was in Thailand, and then that stopped me from fighting the Friday because the coach seen it and then he changed it to the Tuesday. So I got a fight on the Tuesday, but I was like, well, that's ideal, I'll get a fight on the Tuesday. And I ended up getting food poisoning 4 days out. So I had food poisoning. I went to the cold plunge, the steam room and that, because I was like, if there's anything I can do, I can try and scare the bug away from me. I just remember waking up in the middle of the night, spewing my guts out, spewed out everything, and I was spewing water every like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, it was minging like, and then went to the cold plunge, went in the steam room, kind of thought I would scare it away, and then this guy next door gave me this electrolyte gel, just literally licked it and then sorted me right out. He said it was like 1,500 baht, which is like £30 or something like that, but it's expensive in their money. So I was like, well, I'll trust you. I tried it. I couldn't do pads that day. I went to go do a PT because I had a PT booked in. I was like, well, I'll go anyway. And the guy was like, are you okay? And I was like, I've got food poisoning. And then he was like, okay, you don't train, you rest. And I managed to sort myself out, came the next day, but that stopped me from fighting as much as I could have. I always wanted to take hopefully 3 fights while I was there, but then I had to get that one moved and then end up losing the fight to decision, and I got it rescheduled for the Friday after, and I knew that I just couldn't let it go to the judges. I thought because it was my first fight, I was maybe going to get a bit more ring time and then I would learn more, but then I knew that there's no point in that. I just need to finish them, not give them the chance for the winner, because that costed me that first loss, and then I knew going to the second one, I just had to take it from him, and then wouldn't have the chance to get the win.
So did you have a gym to link up with over in Thailand? Was there any kind of connections that the guys at SBG kind of known about? And
yeah, there was a couple gyms that Martin was saying that would be good to go to, Bang Tao and Superbond gym, but I'd already planned to go to the Tiger Muay Thai gym.
Yeah, that's the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I was wanting for my first time to just go to Tiger Muay Thai because it's the biggest one. It's kind of all inclusive, everything's in one place, and it's on Soi Thaid as well, so it's all quite close. But I wish I went to Bang Tao now. I wish I got a couple sessions in there. But the next time I'm going to go at the end of this year for 2 months hopefully, and then I'll get to go. I'll train at Superbond's gym, Bang Tao, I'll train at some other ones, and then I'll get a bit more experience down at different gyms. I'll just be on the moped, just travelling around to the best ones, getting good sparring and that.
Yeah,
and,
awesome, man.
Good, like.
You didn't get any trouble with like traffic violations over there, did you?
I didn't get any traffic. I nearly got stopped actually once, but I nearly it was a crash. I'd crashed into someone else's car. It was when I was going to eat, and it was actually fight day. So and I couldn't train or anything. So I was just driving. Like I was like, well, what will I do? I was like, well, I'll just go and drive on the moped because I couldn't train. I was like, the moped's pretty fun. Like I'll just put the tunes on and then just go about. And okay, now you've got like lanes on a traffic light, and I was on this lane. This guy was on the one like closest to the edge, and then it was red. And I looked over and I was like, the wee cafe is just literally there. I could just go, like I can pull in there. And then as I started going, this guy's car pulls forward, and my peg on the side of my moped must have went underneath his bumper and like pulled off his bumper. But I just turned around and was like, oh fucking hell, that guy just like crashed into me. What's going on? Like, and I just kept going. I went into the wee cafe, I ate food, and I came out of the wee cafe and I seen his car because I remember looking at it before, and it was like Persilic orange, pretty much. Like it looked like it came off of Santa's Customs in GTA or something. I'd never seen anything like that sort of car. And a boy was stood there and he was like pointing at it, like, God, come on, what is this? And I was like, mate, what are you on about? You actually crashed into me. Like, look at my bumper. My peg was pushed in the way, and all of his paint was on the side of my bike, because it was a white bike. And I was like, look, your paint's on my bike, and you've put the bumper in the way. I just tried to turn, and you just literally drove into me. And he was like, no, you don't understand. You were in this lane. You cannot cut in front. And then I was like, oh, wait. And then my mate was next to me. He was like, you basically cut in front of him because he knew like the roads and that as well. And he was like, he knew here, he doesn't live here or something. And I was speaking to the guy, and I was like, if you clean it and get acrylic paint the same colour as that. Like I was trying to sound all fancy, that acrylic paint, it'll be okay. Like take it to the garage and it'll be sound. And he was like kind of listening and that. And then he like kept questioning me a bit more, and I was like kind of a bit worried because I was like, if this guy phones the police, I'm 16, I've not got a licence, so I shouldn't really even be on the roads. And then I would have probably got fined, and they would have just like probably took all my money. And I was literally going to fight that day, so I needed the money to get there and then get back as well, because I was going to London. And then I was like, I just went to the guy who was like, how about I get 1,000 baht and we just call it a day there, mate? And he was like, okay. 1,000 baht's like £20 in our money.
Probably what he wanted all along.
I
brought that up because you're not the only one in this room that's had traffic troubles in Thailand.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about mopeds in Thailand, but they seem to brew quite interesting situations.
Definitely.
I still can't get over when the police, because what was it it was like you'd parked somewhere you weren't supposed to have parked.
Yeah, it was like I guess their version of a double yellow.
Right.
Yeah, it was the same kind of situation. Like I ended up having just to give him money.
Oh yeah, that's what
which it's probably better than the alternative. Honestly,
after he got you to follow him for 2 minutes, having you thinking that you were going to Thailand jail.
Yeah.
Did you do that as well?
Yeah, so I was like following him, and so I was absolutely.
Police must have a lot of trust over there. Like, you're going to follow me, because you're detained. Not like anyone's going to bounce from that deal, but
it's mental. Just want to wrench your head.
I know.
Took a wrench your head.
Honestly.
Mental.
But it does seem like a different world. Like, obviously Thailand's like different to the UK and that, but just like the traffic system, everything, it just seems like all like 100 miles an hour everywhere. There's so many people and like next to each other. But
it was like just massive roads. It's the thing I was surprised about, actually, how good the roads were. Like I think driving there, the roads were well good, and because you're in a moped, like if a car's stopped, you can just sort of weave in and out. You go right up to the traffic light, and half the time it's red, and you can still go. It's weird. It's red, and if there's nothing there, it means you can go. It's not actually stop.
Wild West. Did you see anyone like big in Tiger Muay Thai when you were training there? Anyone that had you starstruck or that?
While I was training, not really. There was a couple. There was 2 guys there that I got some good rounds in with. But when I went, I was like, there wasn't really as much people I thought it would be like high level. Like there was good Muay Thai people, but there wasn't as much like striking. But there was 2 good strikers I got some good rounds in with.
Because I'm trying to think of the guys that I've seen like in training videos there. I think Piotr Jan, I think he's one of the guys that's there quite a lot.
Rafael Fiziev was there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was there. I got a couple
awesome.
it was good. Like
he's I remember his fight. It was Gaethje, wasn't it? He fought him over
Gaethje.
that was madness.
Yeah, it was mental. Like
What's your favourite combination to throw?
Probably be just the jab low kick. Just that jab right low kick.
It's just funny, isn't it? Like, you can't miss with it.
I like uppercuts. I like the head kicks and that as well. My right side's probably more dominant, but I'm left-handed. Like I've always fought like written with my left hand, so then I like a good jab as well. I just like a simple pally jab. Like that feels pretty satisfying as well to land.
What's your least favourite combo to face?
Ooh, probably. Probably be like a good push kicker.
The distance.
A good push kick. Like that's annoying. Like because like especially if you're coming in, like and they stop you with that push kick, it can be a bit annoying. But then you can catch it and like pull it down. Like in Muay Thai, it's not as annoying because you can catch and you can sweep, and then you can do different things. But then in K1, if you've got a good push kick, you can't really do much about it. You've just got to parry out of the way, and then landing's good as well. But then if you've got a really good push kick, like you're just gonna have to get past it or get in faster.
Yeah, because you're a guy that not crashes into people, but you like to close the distance as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like you like to like get in people's face, for lack of a better term, like we were saying. Like it genuinely looks like people have, just been in an accident after they fought you. Do you know what I mean? Like the damage that you leave on people is crazy. And like,
definitely.
A lot of these guys, like the Andy Bailey, he looked like he was in his mid-20s, late 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like he's probably 10 years older. You know what I mean? Like
you've been, definitely.
You're just recently turned 17.
Yeah, turned 17 in March.
You're doing this to people that are like hitting 30. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
so I remember. I don't know how old he was, but the guy I was meant to have before was 23. But then he was a good opponent for me. I was looking forward to that. I remember there was someone that said I shouldn't take the fight because he was too old and too experienced, but I was ready to go in there and just put on a good performance, the same as Andy Bailey, but he pulled out with cracked ribs 2 weeks previous, so I was like, kind of had that in mind, like, whoa, what, am I going to get a fight or not? And I was like, well, it doesn't matter, I'll just stick to what I'm doing, and then if it happens, it happens. If not, then I've just got to look for the next one. Then Andy Bailey ended up stepping in, which I was grateful for, and he looked decent as well, so it was good to get a replacement. But I don't know how old he was. They just gave me his name and his record. Well, I just accepted it. I just straight away, I just said, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. We've just hit over the hour mark.
No worries, man. I've just got a couple ones left, so we won't run too much longer. So you mentioned to me just before we came on about your upcoming competition in America. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm away to Delaware, USA Delaware, on the 22nd August. I'll be there.
Is that Philadelphia, Delaware, or?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's close to Philadelphia.
You want to look that up for us,
New
Finn?
York.
Give us a little fact check on that.
Yeah, I need to know, because I just got no idea what it's at. Like,
is that how close Philadelphia is to New York?
No, just what state's Delaware in?
Delaware.
Aye. I think it's. I know it's near the sea. It's like on the edge. It's not really central. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be good to get some good fights and that. I need a challenge, so I think going out there, I'll definitely get some bigger fights and that against bigger opponents. And then we fight in Muay Thai and Glory rules as well. So it's a discipline that suits me well, and it'll be good to go out there and get a good test out there.
Are you just going solo? Have you got anyone going with you? Is anyone from the gym going with you?
Not anyone from the gym. There's guys from Team Scotland that are going. I've not actually met any of them yet, but I'll meet them the last squad training sessions, the final week of July. So we'll be going down there. We'll get a squad training session in, and then we've got the sauna, relaxation suite, and the ice bath. So we're going in that, and I'll get to meet the coaches and that, and the fighters as well. So get to know them a bit, and then we'll be away in August. I think we've got one more squad training session in August as well, and then we'll be away on the 22nd. That'll be good.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's mad, like what you're pursuing at the moment, how much travelling you get to do through it. I mean, that must be like just an awesome perk of what you do, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I always thought it'd be that as well. Like travelling with intention, travelling with purpose to gain something from it, rather than just travelling for like a holiday. Like I've never going to Taiwan was my first time leaving the UK, so then going out there and then gaining stuff from it as well was really good for me as well. Like definitely
like life experience as well as experience in in combat sports, right? I've noticed you do a lot of PTing. At SBG, like obviously when I beat Aidan at the gym when we were filming that Cage Warriors thing, we had I actually felt quite bad for the guy because he took you away from him for like 15 minutes to do like this whole thing.
But he didn't. I just gave him that session for free. Yeah, it was just like a half an hour pads. But yeah, it But
How often are you doing that type of stuff? Is it daily? Is it a couple times a week? Or
just as much as I can really. Like in the morning, because I'm training usually 9 to 11 in the morning, so then I'll get them in at 11, in at 12, take a couple during the week, and then I'll go home, get food and that, and then I'll come back and so I've got kids classes on the every day apart from Wednesday and Friday, so then I've got to get in earlier for those, and then nighttime classes, so it just kind of depends on the day, like how many I'll take, and then the weekends, afternoon on the Saturday is quite good because I can get a few in after the kids class at 12. I'll normally train until 1, and I'll take PTs from 1, and I'll take quite a few in there, and then the Sunday mornings as well, I'll take a couple before my Muay Thai class, and I'll teach them Muay Thai, and normally train after as well, so I just kind of fit it in with when I'm training and that, and before and after.
And you mentioned there that you teach classes now as well, Muay Thai classes, I take it.
Yeah, Muay Thai classes, yeah.
How was that, doing that for the first time? Was that a bit nerve-wracking? Because obviously you know what you're doing and you know what you're teaching, but doing it in front of a vast group of people can always be kind of like a bit out of the comfort zone sometimes, can't it?
I think maybe a little bit, but then because there's also something we've done for like a longer period of time, like at Kaizen, I took a few classes there, and then I was taking kids classes a little bit there, and then I took some of the adults ones, so I always knew how to take a class, but I'd never been given like my own sort of class. But then it was also good because then like I knew it was my class and I could plan for it, and then I knew what I was doing as well, rather than like if you're kind of taking it like on the spot, or if you've been given it and it's someone else's, then you've got to think like a bit more, I think, than if it's your own. You can kind of make it what it needs to be, and then like advance it as the weeks go on as well, especially if it's the same people coming in and that, then you can kind of advance it from the week we've done before, or you can keep up in it and that for the next one.
And how good a feeling is it when you teach someone and you see them improve? Like that must be
magic,
like,
yeah. Definitely. That's probably one of the best feelings. That's something, yeah, definitely. I feel like watching someone else improve's like really good as well. Like because you don't notice your own improvement until you see it, like with tests, like when you test yourself in fights, then you see it. When you actually see someone improving in the gym, like week in, week out, especially guys, like there's a guy at the gym that just started and he was like, I think he was 115 kilos when he started, but now he's down at 102 kilos. So like that's really good. Like seeing massive differences like that, people like making the goals that they want to get to, and that like making their mind stronger and their body. It's good to see, like, definitely.
Yeah, man. It's cool to see that sort of stuff, because that obviously isn't just for like learning combat sports or martial arts. That like helps people in life as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's powerful stuff. Before I let you go, well, I do this whenever we have a combat sport. I have a few fights that have happened, that are going to happen, and we just make a pick and talk about it. So, who are your favourite fighters just now, just out of interest?
Be Alex Pereira.
Of course.
Definitely. But I've liked him even before he was in the UFC. I've been watching him in Glory and that as well.
Did you watch the Adesanya fight?
Yeah,
they've fought obviously like.
I didn't see the one. I seen the knockout, and there's another one as well. I've seen the finish.
Yeah, I think the one where he left hooks him to the shadow realm.
Literally, I've seen that one.
I think they had one, and I think Pereira won a bit of a dodgy decision. So I heard. But,
I've seen that one as well. Yeah, I've seen the dodgy decision one, and then I've seen them all actually. So maybe Pereira, who'd be next? Probably. It's hard to pick. Because
is it more kickboxing kind of guys, or do you like grapplers as well?
John Jones as well. John Jones is definitely one of my favourite ones, just for how all-rounded he was, and the mindset as well that he had, and like just the elbows. Probably Anderson Silva as well. Anderson was always one of my favourites.
So speaking of Alex Pereira, he's the first name I do have down here. Can anyone stop this dude? Like, it just kind of seems like he hits these guys once and they turn to stone. It looks like he's going to be fighting Ankalaev next, and I suppose he's someone that is more known as a grappler, and I guess that's the only, like, not criticism, but the only test he hasn't faced yet is someone that is specifically a wrestler. Like, is he managed to take him down in the first MMA fight, because they've fought so many times?
They've fought a couple of times.
And Jan Blachowicz, I think, took him down as well. But like, it's not like they're submitting him. Like, he's managing to keep himself safe. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely.
I did see a quote from Ankalaev saying that I think his striking's overrated and I'm going to test it, and I'm like, well, that's going to go bad.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Like, it could be another highlight reel for Pereira. Like,
yeah, it was a Jamal Hill one. Like, the way that he was talking, classic. It was like, oh, this is going to end bad. And then it's that leg kick of his, where it doesn't even look like he's throwing it that hard, and it's messing people's legs up. And that left hook is turning like
he just throws it. It's literally got hands of stone. It's mental. Like,
there's one where he fights, I think it's LFA, and he left hooks the guy, and the guy face plants, and apparently he was out for 8 minutes.
swear.
I was like, that's getting to the point where you're like, right, someone get an ambulance in here. You know what I mean?
That was class.
Yeah, he's savage. The fact that he managed to make middleweight, win the belt there, and then has just went and dominated at the weight class above is seriously impressive.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I'd like to see him go up to heavyweight. I think that would be the biggest challenge for him. Like,
they say him and Jones, but I think Jones is going to do the Stipe fight and then call it a day.
Yeah,
him and Aspinall might be the might be the one.
You know definitely. 100%.
Ian Gary versus MVP happened recently.
Yeah,
obviously, like when that fight got announced, I was like, this is an amazing matchup. Yeah. Fight probably didn't live up to what it was because obviously Gary took the obvious way to victory because MVP's.
I've not actually had the chance to watch it yet, but I'm going to watch it back this weekend.
Ian Gary won the fight, but I think it might be fair to say MVP won the war. Have you heard that? If you heard that walkout song that he dropped a couple of days before the fight, that was ridiculous.
It was magic. Like I see that, it was mad. What did MVP to win? Like he's had the same sort of background as me. He started competing kickboxing, points fighting, Waco sort of competitions and that, and then continuous, and then went into MMA as well. So yeah, definitely.
And he's like fought in everything.
Yeah,
like, he's done even bare knuckle.
Yeah, he's Mike Perry as well.
I thought he won that as well. Like I thought they probably robbed him.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Like
DDP versus Izzy. That's obviously going down next month now, I believe. Izzy's a weird one, isn't it? Because like he kind of dominated for so long. Like he was just managing to beat guys pretty easily. It was almost like he was bored.
Yeah,
and then obviously the ghost of glory past came and took the belt from him, and then he had that amazing knockout over him, and then Strickland just walked through him like butter. So I don't know if he comes back the same. He's obviously taken a year out. Said that he was fighting too much. The thing about DDP is he's losing all of these fights until he wins them. Do you know what I mean? Like Whitaker, Strickland.
Definitely.
So if I had to make an uneducated guess, I would probably go with Adesanya. Because I think he's cleaner striking, and
definitely.
Drickus isn't really a guy that like holds people down from what I've seen.
Exactly. I think the Dreyfus will probably tire himself out trying to get him down. Izzy will probably have good success defending, and then striking as well, catch him with the cleaner shots, and then just wait him out and then get hopefully a finish. But could probably see a decision victory for Adesanya.
That's the thing with Adesanya, when he knows he's better than someone, it's like he's on cruise control. Isn't it?
You
know what I mean?
Where,
like I think that's what he thought he was going to do to Strickland, and then when Strickland tried to defend the leg kick, it was like, what do we do?
He just kept going forward. I think that's what DDP needs to do if he wants to finish him. Needs to not give him any breathing space and just definitely really break him down.
But I think Strickland's probably crisper with the striking, where DDP probably makes a couple mistakes. It's very clunky with him, isn't it? Like
definitely.
It is so weird because it doesn't make sense how he wins the fights. Do you know what I mean? Because he gets tired, and then you think, he's about to get finished, and then like he'll pull something out his backside. Do you know what I mean?
Literally.
This next one I can't wait for. Ilya Topuria versus Max Holloway. That's going to be a fight like crazy.
Magic.
Topuria, he's kind of given it the big brother thing at the moment, of where he's like, I'm not fighting any of these guys. I'm fighting Conor McGregor, and it's like, that's not going to happen. Is it? Like,
that's not happening anytime soon.
Granted, he beat Volk and everything. I'll maintain that Volk probably came back a bit too soon. But he is good. Like
definitely.
From Cage Warriors till now. And apparently, like when he's grappling, like the Dagestan guys, like he's competing with them as well.
His grappling's might be better than his striking out.
Which is nuts. Kind of looking back at it, because the first time I heard about this guy is when him and Paddy Pimblett were having a bit of beef. I'd take it Paddy might be quite glad that fight never ended up materialising.
Definitely.
And Max is obviously off of just probably the most famous UFC moment ever.
It must be, definitely.
It's hard because the math doesn't add up, does it? Because Volk's obviously beat Max countless times. Topuria's beat Volk. But that doesn't mean Topuria beats Max. I could actually see Max winning this.
Yeah, definitely. I could see him outstriking him. Like Topuria's got good, once he closes the range and he slips under, like he'll catch him clean. But then if Max can keep on the end of the punches and keep landing, especially like with the combinations and then mixing up, going high and low, like unless that Poirier does take him down and grinds him out a bit more. But Max got good wrestling as well. Like, I think it'll be a good all round fight, but they'll probably just keep it standing. Like,
and there's no one better at volume in the world, is there?
Yeah, literally, yeah. Aye, definitely.
Leon Bilal. Obviously, it's technically a rematch because the first fight ended with an eye poke. From what I remember of it, Leon was piecing him up pretty bad before then. I wouldn't expect anything different in this.
Aye, definitely.
Everyone says Bilal is a great wrestler, but if you look at what Leon's been able to do against Colby and Usman and take them down is nuts.
Definitely,
doesn't get the respect he probably deserves because he's more of a reserved
100%.
character, right?
Definitely.
And you know, like the only second UK champion, I believe, behind Bisping.
Yeah, that's wild there.
I think Leon's going to stop Bilal.
Yeah, definitely. Aye.
Yeah,
100%. I think he'll get a finish. Bilal's just, I think he's deluded.
He doesn't help himself, does he?
Some of the stuff I've seen him putting out of like, what is he actually?
Yeah, some of the memes are pretty brutal as well. Like when he's
like,
he's walking through his dream of how he's going to beat Leon, and it's still not finishing him. It's like, I'm going to take him down the last 5 minutes. And the bell goes like,
it was like, how does that even make any fucking sense? It's mental. I think Leon will definitely finish him. Hopefully something nice like a head kick again.
Yeah, man. That was great. Like the Usman one, it's like that was from the clutches of defeat, wasn't it? Like, yeah, that was awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then obviously the co-main event to that, Aspinall Blades, another rematch, funnily enough, which again ended via injury because Aspinall blew his leg out.
Yeah, I was watching that live actually. I was a bit gutting to see. Like,
yeah, it was like the first or second leg kick he threw.
Yeah, definitely.
And the exchanges looked pretty interesting before that as well. Like they looked kind of equally matched speed wise with the hands, where Aspinall usually has a massive speed advantage at heavyweight, as you've seen with Pavlich.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
I'm still going to go with Tom. But I think Curtis Blades gets like slept on quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because he's had some bad defeats to like, you know, Derek Lewis and I'm trying to remember the other guy. Pavlovich knocked him out as well, didn't he? But definitely think it won't just be like a first round knockout. I think it'll definitely have to be a bit more kind of playing out to get that victory.
Definitely. Yeah, it might maybe second round or third, or maybe even a decision. I could see it going to the decision. Like,
what do you think would happen if Aspinall ended up getting that Jones fight?
I don't know. I need to see how Jones fares against Stipe because we didn't see a lot of him
in Cyril Gane.
Yeah, the Cyril Gane. But then, like, because he's also had that pec injury, like, he might not be as fit.
It's not an easy one to come back from, is it?
Yeah, definitely. And like after the rounds, like 5-minute rounds, when you're that old and you've not been fighting as much, you've not been training, like, it'll be good to see how he fares. But if Aspinall coming up and he's been fighting high level fighters, been beating them, coming up, he's been still in the training, he's not been coming off injury. He could potentially win, but I'd love to see John Jones just beat him and become the undisputed all-time great. But we'll just have to see if it happens. Like, I don't know if they'll manage to get it scheduled. But how also different the age and the times. Like, they've got like it doesn't really make sense, but it needs to happen. But then it doesn't make sense. Like at the same time,
because like Jones is from like I think he won the belt in 2011. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
like his reign's been like over a decade.
Yeah, definitely.
I would like to see Aspinall versus Pereira as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember hearing that to begin with, and I was like, because I heard it for UFC 300, and I think this is when they were panicking because they couldn't get like a mega fight for it.
Yeah,
whereas now, obviously, what Alex has went and done this year, it's
literally,
like I would still probably give Tom an advantage because Tom is a very legit grappler as well. Like, I think his dad was like the first. Was he the first black belt in the UK? No, his dad's a very legit really black belt. So I reckon like there's a path to like taking Alex down and being able to submit him. Like, you know, look at what he did to Volkov. You know what I mean? He just absolutely ran through him on the ground. Like, and then finally, does McGregor Michael Chandler ever happen? I'm going to say no.
Nah, I don't think so. In that,
there's something weird going on with Conor McGregor at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know
like,
what he's doing. Like,
obviously, like there's rumors. Like,
apparently he was warming up backstage at Bellator. That last one.
Yeah, and he was like, it was the same. Yeah.
So I don't know what the crack is really. Yeah, he says he's injured, but then if he's like warming up and that, he must not be injured. But I don't know.
Yeah, and they asked Dana, it's like apparently the injury's not that bad, so it could be rescheduled for September. And some guy was asking him, could it be September, October, November? And he said none of the above.
Oh, right.
So that doesn't sound too promising. Weird, and apparently Chandler's been offered Makhachev in October. So I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, there's rumors of a lot of things with McGregor.
I think Chandler said that he doesn't want anyone apart from Conor, but then he needs to fight someone apart.
Like, he's not fought in 2 years now.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. I mean?
Like I get waiting to begin with because obviously he's going to make that's the most amount of money he's ever going to
Yeah,
make in his
exactly,
life.
yeah.
Like even
Aye,
though
definitely.
McGregor's not what he was 5-6
Mhm.
years ago, he's still the biggest attraction
100%,
somehow.
aye.
And
Yeah,
it's like you know,
yeah, people don't forget, like,
Yeah.
100%.
and
Mhm.
but I think there's some kind of weird beef going on between the UFC and McGregor. I
Yeah,
think like
aye.
there's some kind of cold war going on behind the
Yeah,
scenes
aye,
like we're not
probably,
hearing
yeah.
about. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think it will, like, no.
Which is a shame because
Class to see, like,
I was
but,
actually
aye.
kind of looking forward to it because, well, my if I was to pick a winner, I was going to pick Chandler within 2 minutes,
Yeah,
just because I
aye.
don't think Conor can come back from that brutal of a leg injury
Yeah, his
with
eyes.
his
Mhm.
extra activities outside of the cage that he
Exactly,
gets up
aye,
to.
Definitely. Aye, 100%. That doesn't help his recovery.
No,
like.
no,
I think
definitely
he
not.
could have been back a lot sooner if he really focused on the recovery a bit more.
But at the same time, I think Chandler's like the perfect opponent for him because he does see red and just start
Exactly,
swinging,
yeah.
doesn't he? And that is like, if there's a opponent McGregor's going to come back and beat, it probably
Exactly.
would be him.
I could see him doing like what he did to Chad Mendes, like when just pins him, just finds that range, and like if he tires Chandler out and he can get him gassed, like, and then he can land the shots, then he could potentially knock him out. But then if he's fit, actually fit to fight,
Yeah.
and I think that after that retirement, like it's hard to come, and he's came back and then broken his leg. It's gonna be really hard to come back from that. But I think to start with, like if he just stuck it out like a couple more years before he retired and then like finished off his career, like it would have made a massive difference, and he wouldn't even have to worry about having to come back or anything.
I think him and Nate's the fight, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
That trilogy,
aye.
and they're both kind of at the similar,
Mhm.
you know, because McGregor's not going to win a
Exactly,
title
yeah.
again or anything like that. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
nah,
So,
mhm.
anyway, how long have we been going, Finn? That's an hour 15, something like that.
An hour 20.
An hour
just on the
20.
dot, yeah.
It
that's
absolutely
way
flies
over.
by. Thank you very much for coming on, dude.
Aye, thanks for having me.
I'm sure I'll see you again at the gym
Yeah,
sooner
I'm
or
sure
later
you'll
because
see me, aye.
I'll be probably doing more filming for
Aye,
Aidan and
definitely,
stuff.
yeah. Mhm.
Do you have any sponsors you want to shout out?
Yeah, big shout out to all my sponsors. I would have to. Can I get a photo up of my sponsors so I can show the logos and that?
Yeah.
Is that alright?
Yeah.
Um,
What to do, mate, is send me it and I'll put it on the screen when you're
nice
talking
one.
about it. Yeah.
yeah, spot on. Ideal. So big shout out to all my sponsors. Get at them. They've helped me up my journey massively this past year. Helped me get out to Thailand. Helped me get to all my bouts and that in Glasgow. So massive shout out to them. Check them out. Yeah.
And where can people find you on Instagram and stuff like that if they want to keep up with what you're doing?
You can find me on Instagram at Ethan Hendry 13 at Ethan_Hendry 13.
Awesome, mate. For anyone listening, it will be up on YouTube. But you know the script by now. We get these out when we can because I'm producing for other people all the time now. Thank you very much, Finn, for coming in, handling tech duties today.
No problem.
Aye, cheers.
I feel weird doing it like this. Like I feel like I'm Lee today. So yeah, I don't know when we'll be back. It could be next week. It could be 3 months. Consistency hasn't really been our strong suit over the last year. But yeah, until we see you next time,